All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 21st, 2023 meeting of the Grafton Mass Accessibility Advisory Commission. I'm Rob Polsnelli, the chair, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:34. And I'll take a quick roll call to get us started. And again, I'm going to go in order of the screen, so sorry, Christy, for having everyone bop around here. All right, so Christy Proctor,
Aye. Here.
Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Roger Trahan,
I'm here.
Paula Torno,
Here.
Alexis Henry,
Aye.
Rob Polsnelli, aye. And again, for the record, Bob Berger is not here this evening. It was a planned absence. And again, we'll circle back around to that here in a little bit. All righty, gang. And I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm hopeful that this will be a little bit shorter since we just met last week. Got a lot of good stuff done. So I have a couple quick announcements here at the beginning. First one is September Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. A year ago, the 988 service, like 911, was activated as a 3-digit dialing code to be connected to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's a confidential support line available 24/7, which is fantastic for people who are facing a suicidal crisis, excuse me, or mental health related distress. With the caveat, of course, if it is an emergency situation, to please call 911, not 988. And the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration website, which we have a link in the agenda to, does have a lot more information about that. Also, late breaking news on that front, ironically enough, which will lead into announcement B. They are actually adding American Sign Language support to the 988 service. I just literally read an article briefly this afternoon about that, and you can access it through a couple of different options. And I'm quite frankly not versed enough to be able to relay all of them, but there is information on their website, I believe, coming up about that. So I thought that was a great addition, and great that they're thinking bigger picture, so not solely kind of in their lane. So yeah, so kudos to them for that. And just want to make sure we put the announcement out there. September is also International Deaf Awareness Month, and the last full week of September is International Week of the Deaf. So there's a lot more information on the National Association of the Deaf. Again, big link in the agenda about that for any more information. And finally, from my side, anyway, October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, which is very exciting. The theme, I believe, is advancing access and equity for this year. And I, again, sort of without digging deep, but I'll put a quick link into the U.S. Department of Labor because they do have information about the initiatives that they're doing this year. So that's just a quick, easy link if anyone's interested and would like more information. And I'll pause momentarily. Alexis, do you want to add anything to that last one? Oh, can't hear you.
There's there's nothing immediately that I have
Okay.
to do, but if there's any relevant information, that comes my way in the next day or two, I'll pass it around.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no,
and the
that's
last,
okay.
oh yeah. And then the last official announcement is just a reminder to everyone, town meeting is October 16th at 7 o'clock. And that's going to be held live and in person again. I didn't think in advance, and it's just dawning on me now to ask Bob how we're looking or how we're doing on an interpreter. I'm sure he's got one booked and scheduled, but I don't know if he was able to maybe follow up and just confirm that that is in fact going to happen. But anyway, I know it's been an ongoing topic for us and figured it was a good just PSA to have it in there. I do certainly plan to attend, which I think I'd mentioned last week. And is anyone else planning to be there? Roger, Paul. So if it is actually Bob will almost definitely be there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that'll constitute a quorum. And I always forget, do we need to formally post for that?
I know finance committee and select board, and even school committee routinely posts that
Yeah.
they'll be in a likely quorum will be in attendance.
Perfect. Excellent. So yeah, I'll do the same
I will
before
need a
then. I know
ride.
oh, absolutely, Paul. Yeah, we can definitely figure that out. Easy, easy. Yeah, you're well located for
Yeah.
being a quick add-on. And like I said, yeah, I know we have some time on that, but just good to have it in my head that's something I'll need to do. So very cool. Alrighty, folks. And any other announcements from anybody else that I'm not aware of? Yeah, Roger.
It was actually just back to town meeting.
Oh,
I
sure.
guess moving forward, starting with the May town meeting, what I'd like to see is for us to get a draft of the warrant before the select board closes the warrant. I've noticed in some prior meetings that the final warrant contains articles that could have or have had an accessibility component, whatever that, it was either funding or non-funding, or town meeting was looking, the warrant article was to take some action where it could have benefited from our input, but we didn't know about it. And so not everyone, that's not always on everyone's radar, but we could always be proactive and get a jump on those items, look at it and see, is there an accessibility component where we could weigh in and put forth our recommendations to town meeting, similar to various community preservation projects and other ones we have in the past. So.
Sure. No, that's a really good point, Roger. So I guess does anyone else have any big reasons or concerns about that? Excellent. So then would it be appropriate to maybe accept a motion for me to reach out to the town clerk in advance of to request a copy of the warrant?
Well, the select board puts it together, and I think
Okay.
I don't know how much in real time they keep the clerk involved.
Oh, okay.
So I think between the town administrator and the select board chair, it's something where, it's just worth looking into between those two. I mean, the select board creates the warrant, they sign off on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the town clerk fits in on, I mean, they post it, there's a certain formality and things that they need to put together, but I don't know how much in real time the town clerk is kept, in tune with all the warrant articles. I think that select board generally has an idea pretty well in advance of what they're working on for the
Mhm.
future town meetings, but yeah, so I guess I don't know what the motion would look like. Or
Well, would it
whether
be
we
then,
even need one.
do you think it's as simple as just, I mean, I'm certainly happy to just reach out to the TA's office and inquire through them. I mean, I'm sure that they're doing the legwork and assembling the actual document, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. In other words, it's always under revision, and in what order they put things in. Sometimes things are pulled at the last minute for whatever reason. And so I believe that this past Tuesday, they closed the warrant. I didn't see the meeting, but so there should
sounds
probably be some draft, but we're not going to be meeting between now and
Well, maybe we are.
then. Okay, I'm looking at it. Okay, maybe we are. Yeah, you're
But I
right.
don't know that yet. Yeah, I don't actually have the date in my head yet. I was going to pull the
All right.
calendar up
I
when we
mean,
got there.
so you could certainly entertain a motion, or you could always just say, ask by consensus whether everyone's okay with you reaching out.
Oh, cool. Let's do that. And by consensus, is everyone comfortable with me reaching out to the TA's office?
Yep.
And I'll actually reach out this week so
Absolutely.
it's on the
Oh,
radar.
yes.
Yeah,
All right, cool. I'm okay with it.
fantastic.
Yep.
May I
Perfecto.
have the formal wording about what you're reaching out in regards to ask in preparation for the
So
grant
it's
applications, right?
no.
Okay.
So this is actually for us to see the town warrant in
Before it's
advance of,
officially posted.
so that if there's anything that might make sense for us to, weigh in on, maybe leave it that generically.
But I'm
that we
wondering,
haven't-
am I ahead of myself, Mr. Chair? Because I'm wondering, maybe it is posted. maybe it has been posted. Could
Mhm.
anyone look on the town website, grafton-ma.gov? This
Yeah, I
could
can-
be, this could be academic. In other words, I'm assuming that it hasn't been put on the website, but that's not wise of me to assume that.
No, I
Maybe,
was kind of there with you. I mean, since it just closed, I figured they'd probably need, a good week or so to get it together. So there's nothing on the homepage, but let me,
of the select board or clerk.
yeah, I'm checking the other pages here real quick. Oh, it does not look like almost done. Sorry, just doing the sweeps. That's just the generic, and then just-
Yeah, I'm looking too. Do they post it on their page? I don't see.
I know there citizen petitions. This is just the how to. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything on either their page, either the TA's page or the select board page. There's lots of information about like the town meeting in general and when it's held, things like that, the overview of what it is and all that, um, but not this year's warrant.
Yeah, so we would just be looking for you, Mr. Chair, to simply reach out to the town administrator to get a copy of the warrant, the not yet posted warrant as what we presume is a warrant that has since been closed, but not yet posted. So you can take a look at it. Or maybe you could distribute it too, so we could peruse any accessibility issues that we would want to weigh in on, I guess.
Yeah, and then obviously, I mean, I think if there's anything that warrants us getting together talking about, we could hold an emergency meeting if we needed to, or depending on exactly how this all times out, because again, I don't know the exact dates, but sort of jumping ahead a little bit, we're probably looking at the second Tuesday of the month as being our regular meeting moving forward. Sort of by default, and I'll kind of cover it in more detail. So, like I said, depending on how the month of October lays out, which I'm taking a peek at now. Yeah, so that'll be too late because that'll be the 10th. And I'm sure they'll have the warrant posted by then.
Well, the meeting is the 16th, yeah.
Right? Don't you think
which is
that it'll
Monday.
yeah. So but yeah, I mean we can just sort of play it by ear, I think. Because there's not likely, I don't think, going to be a host of things for us to dig into. So but it's a very good point. And yeah, if we can actually kind of create a routine in advance for the next couple, or so all the upcoming town meetings where we're just sort of brought in early and can see some of the those warrant articles and see if there's anything worth us discussing collectively before it's posted. It's a really great idea, Roger.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. All right. So like I said, I'll reach out this week, and when I hear back, I'll, send an email along to everyone to let you guys know what's up, what we have, what we don't have, what we can expect when, etc. Cool. Any other announcements, folks? Fantastic. Moving on. External correspondence. Just I wanted to briefly mention, and hopeful that most of you saw it already, but Pause for People responded to our letter of appreciation with a very, very kind email. My favorite part being that they said they were looking forward to attending next year's event already, which I thought was just absolutely lovely. So yeah, I just again really appreciate what they did. Christy, it was a great idea. Really appreciate you coming up with the idea, making the connection, and I certainly hope at the very latest, that we pair up with them for National Night Out again next year. And, if there's any other event that makes sense, I don't even know too, it's probably early to start talking about all the Santa stops or Frosty stops, but maybe there's an opportunity there or something like that in the not too distant future. So anyway, that was the only external correspondence not related to anything else on the agenda. that I had. I didn't have any other random emails or mailings for us, so I think that is it for that line. Meeting minutes. Oh, Christy, I'm sorry.
Well, now that you bring it up,
Yes.
can we put it on the agenda for November? Why don't we all think of a business or an inside location that would host the Pause for People dogs? I know Tufts isn't a Frosty stop, but
No, but the farm is.
Holden Farms?
No, no, no. The what's it called? It's the one up on the hill where they do the little
Community
horse-drawn-
barn.
Community barn. Thank you. That's it. That huge farmhouse that they have, or barn that they have. They have things
At
posted
Brigham,
sort
at
of
the
around.
top of Brigham Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wondering
Brigham
if we
Hill Crest.
if we could maybe ask them if we could have some space, but we'll talk about it, but just think about it.
I
Okay.
mean, library,
No, that is
library's
such a
also
good-
a Frosty stop too.
Oh, there goes Roger. Okay.
There you
So now we have competing. Who's the highest bidder? Who wants us the most?
Right.
But
It sounds
um,
it sounds like Roger's volunteering. I don't know.
I don't know, I don't exactly know what's planned in the room, but they didn't take much room. You know,
Well,
they just needed a few blankets and,
well, that's the thing. I was gonna say the library's carpeted, which is more
Right.
to their liking. So
right.
yeah, so good
Yeah.
ideas. So can we put it on
Absolutely.
the agenda for November, and we'll actually, I mean, for October,
October.
because we have to get in the brochure.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Fantastic. Alrighty, gang. Busty stops. What is that day called?
Grafton
Grafton
celebrates,
celebrates the holidays.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mental block. I could not get there at all. I just had Frosty stops in my head. I'm like, no, there's a name.
Do we know that date? Do we have that date?
It's always the
Early
first Sunday of December,
First Sunday of
right?
December.
First
Yeah.
Sunday in December? Okay.
Which is what date, people? I think December 8th. No, December
3rd.
3rd. Okay, thank you.
I just looked it up real quick.
Thanks, Catherine.
Good stuff, folks. Alrighty. Good stuff.
Okay.
Meeting minutes. With apologies, we have 3 sets of minutes to go through. One of them is really short, though. The other 2 are a little bit longer, but Christy, do you have the ability to share screen already?
Let's see. So the first one we're doing, I have 817 up. Hold on, let me find.
Yep. Sorry, it's not a ghost. My dog just came in the room.
I see that. He's saying
Okay.
hello.
Exactly.
Sorry, everyone. It just takes a second because
No,
I
that's
had
perfect.
I had it all up and then I closed down my duplicates and I might have closed it down by mistake. So here we go.
It's all good. Roger, did you get a chance to look at these already?
Yep.
Good, 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 good. I did not get a chance to look closely. I was very hopeful that you had.
So we're going to start with National Night Out first, people. Here we go.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Thanks, Christy.
Rob, can you go next to my name and choose that I can
Oh, I just
share?
looked.
I
Yeah, I just
know.
looked.
I know, and it just said no. It's disabled.
I'm not even kidding when I tell you there is no option. There you go.
It's
Make you a co-host. See if that does
nope,
it.
Nope.
That didn't do it.
Nope. So oh, there it goes. Finally.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, good. Here we go.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Getting extra buttons.
No, we're good. The host has asked you to start your video. I already know that.
Yeah, I turned off your video by accident when I was trying to
That's okay.
close the menu.
Okay.
There we
So
are.
this is one of the longest meeting minutes I've ever seen.
So I know we need something for the record. I drafted this as just a whatever. I don't know if it's too much, if it's too little, but I figured it gave us a start. So
You signed my name for me. Thanks, Rob. That's funny. But
Yeah, no, this is
that
make it
was
as easy.
good.
So can we start with a motion to accept the meeting minutes from, what is it,
I
August
make the
1st?
motion, we accept the meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
So we have Paula as.
Yep, and Alexis
And
second.
done.
Okay,
Alexis
got it.
seconds it. Sorry, Christy. Yeah.
Yep, got it.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion about those minutes? Roger, go for it.
All right, and especially where we're kind of technically a quorum, open meeting law calls to list the attendees and those absent. And I think the only
Perfect.
person absent was Mr. Berger.
Absolutely correct.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, so if you could just list the members present and then Mr. Berger being absent.
Okay, I can do that. A discussion about the attendees. Which were added. Okay.
Perfecto. Roger, was there anything else I was, like I said, trying to sort of
No,
find
that's
that
perfect.
happy in between? Yeah.
That is perfect. I'll tell you, a lot of committees that have sort of casually gotten together for various functions have not been as astute, but it keeps us out of any remote appearance that we were not doing things by the book. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. Yep. And that's, and I know that was a thing with all the meetings we didn't have, we had to have the minutes for and the whatever too, and figured, yeah, this is just the easiest. Put it out there. Here's what we did. We didn't talk shop. It was just passing information. That's what we were there for. And call it a day. So cool. All right. Any further discussion? And Christy, I'm sorry, are you still typing names?
I am, but here's my question. Was Paul a member at that point or
No.
okay,
No,
so
Paul
Paul,
had
Okay.
sadly not been sworn in yet.
okay, should I say anything on it or no?
I think we just, do we leave him off the attendance list?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Alexis, Catherine, myself, Rob, and Roger.
Correct.
Okay. That's good. Okay, I just thought of that. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So
no,
you're
it's a great call.
positive, Mr. Chair, you're positive that Paul's swearing in occurred after that?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so
right.
it's all saved.
But that
Okay.
doesn't mean he can't vote on.
He can't vote on it. Exactly.
Wait, he can't?
No,
He
he can.
can.
Oh,
He's-
okay, thank you. Okay,
It's interesting. Yeah, that's that whole that one of our former members had the concerns about, right? How am I supposed to vote on whether meeting minutes are accurate for a meeting I wasn't at?
Or for a non-meeting. In this case,
Or for-
this is
right.
this is unique in that we actually achieved a quorum at some point or points. But there are other times where a meeting technically doesn't occur, and so it's weird. It's sort of like I don't know if paradox is the right word, but the town clerk requires us to close up any open questions because it was posted.
Right.
We have to, as a committee, close that door and identify whether a meeting occurred or didn't occur. So we're actually presenting minutes, but it sometimes where a meeting technically didn't occur. In this case, we did reach a quorum, but yeah.
okay.
Go us. Alrighty. Hearing no further discussion, then Roger, what is the phrase you always said? Hearing no further discussion.
Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call.
There we go. All those in favor by roll call. Thank you. I can never remember the phrase. Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Roger Trahan,
Aye.
Paul Letourneau,
Aye.
Alexis Henry,
Aye.
and Christy Proctor.
Aye.
Rob Polsinelli, aye. I therefore declare the motion passed 6-0, and yeah, we get to move on. Yay! So that was the easy one. I shouldn't say easy. That was the short one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And Christy, because of my snafu with giving you permission and then making your camera go off and having you turn it back on, you're not sharing your screen at present?
No, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm pulling up
Perfect. Okay.
817.
Perfecto.
But you can start
Stupid
the
H came
motion.
back. So that H in between the phone numbers,
Oh,
that
it's
is
still
somehow,
there.
that actually is happening during the translation from it changing from a Word document into PDF at some point somehow, I think. Because I'm always watching for that now, and it's not always there. There's usually a dot there, and it changes into the H.
It's magic.
Right.
So on this, okay, so, I'm wondering, on the header.
So should we have a
Um,
motion first?
Oh, okay, yeah. I move, I guess I'll go ahead. I'll move that,
Yeah.
we approve the draft minutes of August 17th, 2023.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
Mr. Latorna seconds. Any discussion? Roger?
Okay, go ahead,
Oh,
Roger.
cool. No, it had to do with, if I'm a casual observer, it looks like the meeting was September 21. In other words, you say, so what you could do if they're approved, instead of approved meeting minutes, you put meeting minutes and then put approved 9/21. In other words, move the word approved to
Do,
within the parentheses?
Got it.
yeah, do we even need that on there?
Probably not.
Right? Because we have today's agenda actually says that we voted and approved these minutes, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in other words, you probably don't even need the word approved. In
It's
other words,
basically like just,
What if you flip them though? Why don't you regular meeting, then the date, then the meeting minutes approved? Do you know what I'm saying? I would move.
yeah,
where
no,
it's-
that's right. You're right, Alexis.
correct,
Yeah, that
Alexis.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Move move the date up. Mm. Yeah,
Okay,
that makes more sense.
I agree. Thanks, Alexis.
Right. Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you wanted
Yes,
to call
please.
on anyone else. I had just some grammatical corrections.
No, go for it. I don't think there's been another hand yet, so go for it.
All right. Right there where her arrow is, Christy, Robert Berger, it's RSB in parentheses. He preferred that right exactly there. Yeah. And then on the second page under item 2, external correspondence. Do we affirm that there was none? Was there any external correspondence? Because it's simply left blank. So if there was none, I think we would want to affirmatively say
Just
there
note that.
wasn't any. None? All right, cool.
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
And then on item 4, subcommittee update. On the 4th line down of the following page right there. Assistant town manager, it's assistant town administrator. And then I think the last one, actually, there would be a couple, on National Night Out, agenda item 5 under D, that begins with feedback from informal survey. All right, so right there, the $700 from H parking fees. Do we say accessible parking fees, or you actually spell out the word handicap? So, and then I think lastly, on the following page under 6, old business, but on the following page, the very first line that begins with the words "not receiving a straightforward response," or maybe you haven't corrected this, bumped everything. Hold on a second. Roger pointed out, right, the commission is not receiving a straightforward response. Hold
Yep.
on a second. Okay, all right, bear with me. I'm just trying to think. Regarding the number of spaces, where is that sentence? Okay,
here.
next line down, number, okay, before the word spaces, is that parking spaces? It seems, the sentence seems to be, I mean, in the context of the entire discussion, I think it assumes parking spaces, but it's not spelled out here.
Handicap parking spaces. would be
Handicap, okay,
appropriate.
all right, yes. And then, that's it on that. Yeah, I don't have any corrections, any further corrections. Christy, you take awesome minutes.
You really do.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
That's-
just, and the thing is that like that night, it's all, you brush it up and then they're done. And I was like, oh, this, you know, and sometimes, not always, I've looked at them like that night and then it's fresh in my brain. So,
Well, thank you. I think I'm gonna be, this is what I'll do in my next, this will be a side gig, a professional meeting note taker.
I'll tell you, you know
Yes.
what, other committees that are tied to departments, those folks get paid. I think we're the only, are we the, like the only committee that has an unpaid scribe? I don't know. A lot of these committees are tied to departments, and the finance committee has its own scribe, even though it's not technically a department. So, you know, we're saving the town some money. So you could make some bucks doing this as a side gig, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, I just like being a part of this. Your praise is enough for me.
All right.
That, I appreciate the appreciation. So-
I think some applause is due too.
Oh, yeah, right.
Hey,
Thank
man.
you.
Excellent
You
job.
are, yeah, miracle worker. You definitely make this all much easier, that is for sure. All right, hearing no further motions, I'm ready to vote or accept. I did it again, Roger. I cannot get this in my brain. I heard you say it so many times and I,
And, all right, so any
It
further
just
discussion?
sits in there.
Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call.
well, it's like the easiest phrase and I have like vote in my head and it just derails me. All right, but hearing no further discussion. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of 8/17, or yeah, 8/17 this time. All those in favor, Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Roger Trahan,
Aye.
Paula Torno,
Aye.
Alexis Henry,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
Rob Paulsonelli, aye. And with that, I declare the motion passed. 6-0. Yay, 2 down. And Christy, whenever you're ready, not at all
I'm ready.
rushing you. Yeah,
I'm ready. I just need the first and second, so.
perfect. Well, Christy's pulling these up. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our September 13th meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Catherine. Do I have a second?
A second.
Paula Turner
Oh,
seconds.
shoot. I had Paul, I put Paul in as the first, isn't it? It's just one of the things I do. I just kind of fool around with this. Bob really set me up here because he didn't even show up, so. Okay, here we go. I'm glad to
Perfect.
be writing Catherine's name for the first time tonight.
Okay. All right, so here we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the meeting minutes for September 13th? Which I have not looked at. Roger?
Can you pull them up? Are you pulling them up, Christy?
Yes.
I have two minor things.
Here we go.
On the front, Mr. Berger, this initials just RSB.
Oh, yeah.
On the very top of the roll call, the initial top of the meeting roll call.
And you know what's funny? At the roll call, I don't have the S. Everywhere else, I have the S.
I noticed that.
Isn't that
Yeah, that was
funny?
weird. Yeah,
So I've just got to make sure I copy it correctly.
Yeah, you're probably
I'll-
just doing it
I'll-
quick on the fly.
I'll let you know on a little trick. Mine are not going to change. So You won't have to worry about that. Your
I
template
know,
can stay the
thanks,
same.
Catherine.
Well, what about the fabulous Catherine Dorr?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could
like
add
that.
that on, but it's
Yep.
it's not. Oh, I'm changing the last name, but the initials staying the same. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going
Oh,
from Dora
okay.
to Dupuy. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you, yeah, all right. I thought you were alluding to the fact that you would never be changing your name.
No,
But no.
I think
but
it's
yeah, we've got
9:20.
one more meeting left with this one. So
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Congrats
awesome.
ahead of time.
Yeah, that's
Chrissy,
really
I think it's
exciting.
23. It's not 21.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
I'm looking at the old ones.
Okay.
You still got that H floating around up there?
Everything. And Roger, did you have a second? I thought you said you had two.
What was that?
I thought you said you had a couple.
Oh, yeah, the second was under municipal ADA, the first item on the agenda. The very last word under the action item, MOD, I don't think it spells out Mass Office on Disability. To the casual observer, they might not know what MOD means.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean, you can certainly put MOD in parentheses, but
I think it's on disability.
it's on, yeah, it's on disability, Mass Office on
Oh,
Disability.
sorry.
You're right.
I'm typing real quickly. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you, Alexis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it.
Fantastic. Way to go, Christy.
This was a fun meeting.
It,
Yeah.
Okay.
it was productive, that's for sure. Very good. All right. Any other discussion on these minutes? All right. Hearing no further discussion. All those in favor of approving these minutes? Catherine Dorr,
aye.
Roger Trahan,
Aye.
Paula Tarnell,
Aye.
Alexis Henry,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
and Rob Polsinelli, aye. And with that, I declare the motion passed. 6-0. Yeah. Guys, checking off the boxes, guys. All right. Chrissy, thank you for all that. Regular meeting schedule. So I went back to Amber based on our discussion from last week. She said, it was the very quick bottom line, that they really try not to schedule other things on Tuesdays. They like to leave things open for the select board because they do have a lot of changes to their schedule, even though they're sort of committed to the first and third Tuesday of the month. That depending on what's going on, that oftentimes they need to bump into something else. And there is, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, there is another either board or committee that also meets regularly on some of the Tuesdays.
I think it's school committee is
committee,
often bumped up against select board.
You are correct, absolutely correct. So she took a look, and basically the outcome was we could definitely meet on the second or the fourth Tuesday of the month. And I did say my preference would actually be for the second Tuesday. And especially coming into this time of year, I think it highlights for me why I feel like the second Tuesday is a little bit safer. So you get a lot of those end of the month holidays here at the end of the year, and then we're trying to change schedules and we're bumping into the select board or potentially back into the select board. It makes it a little harder for everyone. But the heads up for all of us is that we are not going to remain on the select board Zoom account.
Oh, good.
So, well, we'll see.
No, did we get our
So-
own?
No, we're not getting our own. So there is another one that she is going to set up for us. I said we'll wait while I talk to everyone, make sure that we're good to go. But so I'll post that on the next agenda, of course. But everyone who has any like recurring meetings with the links in it for our meetings, we're gonna have to get rid of all of them because those links aren't going to work anymore. It's going to be a new one moving forward. But that being said, I believe it was October 9th. I just looked, but give me 1 second before you type it. No, October 10th. would actually be then our next scheduled meeting, which is the second Tuesday of October. So, and then we'll kind of go from there. It looks like the 14th of November would be the next one. And then December, scrolled too fast, December 12th. And that'll round us out for the year. So,
So what
thank you,
date is
everyone.
the 14th?
14th was November. December is the 12th.
Okay.
So just for the next couple, and like I said, I'll set up the recurring meeting and all that kind of good stuff. But appreciate everyone's willingness to be a little flexible. And I think the important part of this is it actually gets Bob back in here for our regular meetings, especially with him being the ADA compliance or coordinator, excuse me. I think it's really important for him to be the appointed member on this commission. So again, I really appreciate that, and really happy we were able to find a happy middle ground. And should we ever go live again or decide we want to meet live, I think we're in like, there was a little conference room, Roger. Is it F?
No, F is the fully equipped one. Conference
Oh,
room
right.
G you can put an owl in there.
Okay, I think that was it. Yeah, she said, Amber had said that like select board has probably F then, right? And the school committee has the other like main one. But she said
Yeah.
there was a third if we ever needed it.
Yeah, it was
So that
conference
sort of
room
worked.
G.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Should have pulled up the email. So, yay.
And
One
then,
more.
what was I going to say about, oh, I think Mr. Berger had mentioned that the building department did not actually have a Zoom account and that we could potentially tail off of theirs. Is that what the plan is, or are we getting our own?
I don't think it's either. I think we're borrowing from another party, and it
Oh,
might be
okay.
the finance. It might be the finance committee.
Right.
And I should probably pull up the email
I know
here.
Board of Health we've used before, Finance Committee, ZBA we've used before.
I know it's like
There's a
alphabet
handful.
soup. Hold on.
Well, the thing is, I would rather, I guess, the preferred method would be to know that whatever our schedule is, if we're borrowing from someone else's account,
Yep.
that we can consistently book multiple meetings without them having to thwart somewhere in the middle.
Got it.
Because we can tend to make mistakes on posting the right Zoom links if
Right.
you know, and then
Yeah.
canceling the old one out and just for that
I know.
meeting. And do we cancel all the future meetings out inadvertently by doing that? I hate when that happens.
Yeah. No, that's fine and fair. I did go back to her email. No wonder I couldn't remember. She actually just said, let's set you up on a different Zoom account to avoid that conflict.
Now, why is it, Mr. Chair, that we don't get our own?
Oh, I'm sure it's just money. They've decided how many they need, and
How much does it cost? I mean, we have the $700 in the accessible fines account. I can't imagine that
interesting.
or I mean, would that be a stretch to say that that's used for accessibility purposes? I don't know.
Well,
But-
indirectly, isn't this an accessibility?
Yeah, I guess
Right.
yeah. In other words, it's just one of those things where having our own, we could anytime we want, we're not at the mercy of, on the flip side, then because we only meet once a month, other people would want to be borrowing ours. You know what I mean? So
Correct. Yep.
so it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Probably a little bit, but it's a great question, and I'm more than happy to ask, especially since she hadn't like clearly assigned us a new one already
Right.
in her response. Yeah. So we'll see what she says. But like I said, I will definitely forward the actual meeting information to all of you as soon as I sort of have the official, where we're going to be in cyberspace. So do we need to? Oh, yes, go ahead. Ann.
Oh, I just want to let everybody know I won't be at the next meeting in October.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be on vacation.
Yay. Good for you, Alexis.
I have vacation envy, no matter where you're going.
And then Roger, since we're making a change to our routine schedule, is this something that we ought to do through a formal motion?
I mean, we could, and we would want to then also include making sure that it's formalized on our webpage, because our webpage, I think, mentions our meeting schedule.
Yeah.
So I guess
absolutely.
it can't hurt. Mr. Chair, I move that the Accessibility Advisory Commission, starting with our next meeting, move to a schedule of the second Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m.
Perfect. We have a motion. Does anyone second?
I'll second.
Not second.
I think I heard Alexis first. It's like
Yes.
Jeopardy. Need like buzzers for everybody.
And so that would include asking the select board office to change that on our webpage.
Correct. And just making sure I'm actually asking the right person then, is that through the select board? Or is that
I-
through the TA's office?
Well, TA's
thought-
office, I think Amber or Cindy, they kind of sometimes, depending on the task or the day, sometimes they may pass it off to it's such a routine administrative task. It could be, Cindy Ide or Amber.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I guess
Then,
you
yeah.
could say the TA office email is a safe bet.
Okay, as a starting place,
Yeah,
right? They'll pass it along, right? I would assume
because,
if it's out there.
yeah.
So, Roger, is the motion to ask the select board
No, the motion,
or
no, we're
just
in
to
charge of
move our,
ours.
just to
For
move our
us to
meeting?
change our
Okay,
meeting.
thank you.
Yeah.
I got it then. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion since we discussed it first? Perfect. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor by roll call, Catherine Dorr,
Aye. Sorry,
Roger
I
Trahan,
muted instead of unmuted.
Trahan, aye.
Paula Torno,
Aye.
sir, Alexis Henry,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
and Rob Paulsonelli, aye. And with that, I declare the motion carried. Yay. We have a new date. Like I said, again, I will definitely follow up with everyone, keep you all up to speed on the correct links, etc., and how we're meeting. Very cool. Checking them off, guys. All right, this is the one I anticipated being the longest, but not super long. So, webpage content. So I'm going to start with, thank you, everyone. I know everyone did take time to review and look at things and check links and all of that, and there was a lot. So I'll start with that. I did not send, basically, I'm sure you guys saw in the meeting packet, the version I sent this week was the same as the one from, I believe, last month. And the reason being that I didn't have any suggested additions or structural changes. There were two comments that I do want to share with the group for us to, sort of talk about, and then we'll make a plan for what we're going to do next. The first was Christy. She did forward a link for the college aged under the school. I think it was under the school tab. Is that right, Christy?
Mm-hmm.
That we put you in charge of, which I have not shared with the group. Oh, Christy, you're so good.
So there's a National Center for College Students with Disabilities. It's hosted by the University of Minnesota. It used to have its own website called dream.org. Disability, I forget the R, I forget the E, empowering, achieving, mentoring, this whole thing. I think the website acronym had some troubles. Let's just put it that way. And it wasn't theirs. Other people were constantly thinking it was the wrong thing. Let's just put it that way. So it went to NCC LD, and then the Dream site is under there as a resource. So great, comprehensive, great website. So I think that covers everyone who attends any college. Or any higher ed.
Are you talking dream? You said dream.org? Is it dream something.org?
No, don't go to dream.org.
No, I didn't. I was
It's no
looking for-
longer, no. So the host, I'm telling you, yeah. So they now, if you go to the National Center for College Students with Disabilities,
Okay.
it's hosted by the University of Minnesota site. That's what we are going to insert here under, let's see.
I think it's
I think it's down a little bit.
yeah, I was just gonna say
There
the
it
same
is.
thing.
I can add it right here.
right there.
That's the spot.
So, yeah, so that's where it's gonna go.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you,
maybe we
Christy.
won't call it community college.
No, we can just call it college or post-secondary, college and post-secondary resources.
Perfect. I like it. Fantastic. So that was that. And I know, Christy, yeah, we were sort of just dumped that in your lap. So thank you for coming up
Yep.
with an answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get it to you
No.
earlier.
No, perfectly fine. I'm happy to have it. And this is another one of those we can always make a change, make an addition. I don't think, I think this whole like launch or first round is going to be the big one, but after that, I think it'll be as simple as sending an email here and there if we want to, make an update to something. So definitely no worries there. So again, thank you very much for taking the time
You're
and
welcome.
coming up with the resource for that line for us. And then the other comment was from Paul. It was about and Paul, definitely, feel free to correct me if I'm misspeaking, but sort of the structure of the thing. And I think the overall was right that maybe it was a little too complex and that the menu that we're suggesting, which is again, that sort of the bold, titles with the Roman numerals, might be a little bit too much or might not be organized as clearly for folks
Want me to bring
is
it
what you were
back up?
thinking. Yeah,
I'm
Chrissy,
sorry.
if you don't
Yeah,
mind, that'd
no,
be great.
that's not a problem.
Thank you.
I'm
So
sorry.
with that, Roger, if you want to clarify, clear up what I said.
What part of clearing up, what are you asking me to do?
No, not Roger. Sorry, Paul.
I just thought it was complicated from a non member point of view. I thought that I don't know, seems long and so involved that people may stop looking. People don't like to read. That's the problem.
Well, the good thing is that all they'll really see are these major headings and then click through to each page,
Right.
which will have 4 to, let's see,
Yeah.
7.
Uh-huh.
So we're seeing the back
Right.
door of everything, but Paul, I get it. So if we were just to have the main, we're up to 12.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, to Paul's point, right? So if you get, thinking of our town's website and what our specific page looks like, that blue box over on the left-hand side of the page would have links that like have those 12, headings that you see in bold
Uh-huh.
with the Roman numeral there would be 12 of those. And some of them are longer like number 5, right? Disability related legal assistance.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, went off screen there. So some of those are going to run into multiple lines because it looks like I'm looking at the town clerk right now, town clerk's page. It looks like you get like 3 or 4 words per line based on the size of that box and the font used. So, so to Paul's point, right, that's going to take up a nice chunk of landscape over there.
We might be able to edit those headers down, and I wonder is there a way we can see it mocked up so that we can, because I totally hear what you're saying, Paul. It's
Yeah.
a lot of information. Not all of it's going to be on the homepage, so we can sort of visually see what it looks like.
Can I add can I make a
Yeah.
suggestion? For example, under 12, transportation and mobility resources, if that lettering and all of those headings were larger so that it could draw someone's attention, they would know where to go because it's in bold print. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mr.
but I don't
Chair,
think
I
we really
agree
know
with-
exactly what it's going to look like. Right now,
Right.
like each of those bolded Roman numeral headers, at least the way I think it's what we
Yep.
thought is that would be on the sidebar, the
Right.
front page, our initial page. So those headers may be too wordy and we might be able to make them less wordy.
Right.
But without seeing it laid out and like whether it looks too crowded or whether it's, I don't know do we know who's gonna work with us?
I'm just
Um,
looking for the, let's just go to well, I'm in the agenda center. Hold on.
So, Mr. Chair, I wonder if,
Please,
So
yeah.
this is what it will look like, Paul. See on the blue
Yes,
field here, it will be the white letters all the way down.
I
Oh,
don't know,
okay.
through you, Mr. Chair, I don't know, if you scroll back up, Christie, all right, so, this is just one person's opinion, whether or not we need to spell that all out, wouldn't it make sense, I mean, for maybe lack of space, to say accessibility and disability resources, and then take
Oh,
that
and then
to,
click through. Yeah,
and
yes.
then
I
it
agree.
takes it to one, another page with live links.
Mhm.
But can I tell you, I'd really like to see on this first landing page, how do I request an accommodation for town meeting or something else?
Right.
But the other resources are truly resources, or the ask a question, everything else truly is a resource.
So
Mhm.
maybe we pull those out because they're at the top of our list, we pull those out and we have them on this initial sidebar. And then we do, Grafton,
back to-
Massachusetts, other disability resources, click here. For other disability resources, click here. And then you get maybe another page and another page, right? It's not like we'll have just one page behind that initial page. You'll be able to go and then click.
So I put
Right.
those in blue, Alexis and Rob, because those might be a landing page
Mhm.
Right.
topics and the rest are resources. We put closed captioning for GCTV, but I don't think that's, in a way, that's not an issue. It's not a resource. It's not a
Right.
question. I don't know if it should even be there, honestly, but
Okay.
for now, I don't see the purpose.
Does that happen automatically?
No, that's there's part 3, closed captioning for GCTV. We need to create content.
Yeah, I think Christy, I think you actually have a slightly older version
Okay,
that might have been, hold on, give me 1 second. So that would have, yeah, it would just be a link to there's a document on the closed caption policy that we had posted a link on to, like, so that whole phrase, basically there's a link for that.
okay.
But anyway, it's just a lot.
But
Well,
this
it's
is so comprehensive. This is great.
This is an amazing document, by the way.
It is.
I think
Yeah.
it's a long time coming, because I think that even if people don't talk about it, there's plenty of banter that goes back and forth on social media about looking for things, and some people may also stick to their own social circle, maybe in frustration. And I think that if people stop perusing this, I think it will be well
Right.
received.
Yeah, so I'm gonna actually share for just 1 second, guys. Which one is it? I think it's this one. And I never know, I have too many screens up. Can you guys see that Word document?
Yep.
So someone had said about a mock-up. So this is a listing of the current headlines. I didn't take the time to actually make this a little bit nicer. So these, like where you see the indent, there would actually be less space between these two lines than there would be between the non-indented lines, right? Those ones would be separated further, but the list that we have on the current draft, I mean, this goes down and down. And again, I've kind of eyeballed the how wide that bar is, but that's how much space that all takes. And again, it would be a little bit tighter because the second and sometimes third lines would be a tighter line spacing up on the web page. it'll take a little bit of time to actually do that line by line, but you guys get the idea. It's a lot as we had drafted it to have it all mapped out there. So maybe I can kill that. So, but yeah, it was a good idea about mocking it up just to get an idea of what we were really talking about. So
What's our next steps in working, and sort of getting it onto the page and
yeah,
working with
so
whoever does this for the town?
Yep. So what we had talked about, and I think would end up being the plan that would certainly open for further discussion from the group, would be one or more of us would meet with most likely the TA's office, and I'd leave it to them to probably, decide who they think is most appropriate. We talk about the sort of the purpose of why we were doing this, what we, envisioned, to share the working document that we've got to date. And I don't know if they're the ones who make the updates or if they would want to, tie somebody else in, but for us to be able to then follow up and help whoever actually makes those updates to build out our webpage accordingly. And then that also would be kind of simultaneous with getting on the select board's agenda for an upcoming meeting to also sort of publicly launch this in a sort of a bigger forum than our commission meetings, to make sure that people across town, at least a lot more people across town, will be aware that we're actually making these updates and these resources are available. That's sort of quick summary, but yeah, does anyone have more thoughts on that or different understanding?
No, that makes sense. Just like we did, although we last July actually needed the select board's vote to approve a change in our charge and, what we did. I think it absolutely is a great idea that even though this is a less formal thing that probably doesn't even necessarily require a vote of them, to launch, it's a perfect word for it, Mr. Chair, a launch, a launch. Because people do watch the select board meetings and for whatever social media traction we may also throw out there. I think it's sort of like I think it's huge. Just because we don't hear about it, I think there's a lot of people who are behind the scenes sort of grappling with trying to reinvent the wheel in silence
Right.
and on their own, and they're working in a silo trying to find resources of how to get things done. And any bit of information that helps steer them in the right direction is, I'm sure, going to be very welcome.
Certainly hope so.
Yeah.
How do we get on the agenda for a select board meeting?
Just contact the
I mean-
chair or the select board email, I would think.
Yeah, so we basically just ask, it's that easy, and just, let them know we'd like to make an announcement, and share some updates with them as well as with the town.
Mhm.
I thought this
And-
goes to the town administrator and
So-
then they put it up and then we make the announcement to the select board that it's up, like,
Yeah, what's the order?
Correct. Yeah, no, I actually do agree with that, and kind of harkening back to what Roger had said, this isn't something that we need the select board's, sort of direct vote or approval to do, right? We're working under our charge. It's something that we as a commission have agreed upon and put the effort into. We worked through, like you said, Christy, then we worked through the TA's office to actually get it all set up. And I don't know if that's 100% through their office or if they're going to connect us to a third party. It's just, we just don't know, but they will. So that's why we're starting there. But yeah, then once it's, launched or we know it'll go live on whatever day, I think it's sort of in conjunction with that we would be reaching out to get on the select board agenda and to actually make a more public announcement about it.
Yeah, it's a little tooting your own horn.
Tooting our own horn, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
Mr.
not a bad thing.
Chair,
Nice. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, so under the select boards, under policies, under their webpage,
Yep.
under their policies, there's a getting on the agenda policy, placement of items on
perfect.
select board agenda. And it was approved the 20th of July of 21. And it outlines items must be approved by the chair of the select board prior to placement on the agenda, must be reviewed with the town administrator. And then there's a timeline for submission. And then items requested must have appropriate documentation and backup information. So that goes hand in hand with the timing or the deadlines. And so I would think that notifying the select board chair and CCing the town administrator may be the order of things.
Yep. Yeah, it does sound that way. That's perfect. Perfect.
And I
perfect.
think when we CC the town administrator, I think as a matter of habit, it's probably not a bad idea to CC the assistant town administrator as well.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I always, yeah, because God bless man, William he's been my man, which we'll come to here on the old business. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's almost the other way, I think, sometime. Right. I talk, and that's, I think, also why I very specifically talk about the office, not specifically usually the town administrator. It's the town administrator's office because it is group and let them, figure out who does what, right? So I guess back to the business at hand. So we've suggested a couple modifications to our outline. I mean, do folks feel like it's where it needs to be for starting? Do we need to work on it a little bit more to maybe, try to again combine or shorten it a little bit more or reorganize it so that yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No,
Please, Roger.
one thing I think when we first started this, I had made a comment and it was just agreed upon, I think, that the Roman numerals are only for the preliminary document, and that this
Correct.
would eventually, for accessibility purposes, sometime be migrated into a numeral 1 through 12 or whatever document.
and yeah, and that's again more just for organizational sake as we've been planning, right? When these are actually posted on the town's webpage or our specific webpage, they won't have either letters or Roman numerals or
Okay.
numbers.
All right.
It'll just be the line by line. So again, so sort of that mock-up that I had created is really how it'll look. And I think it uniform to, again, go to the select board's page or the town clerk's page, TA's page. Each one of them has a laundry list down the left-hand side in that blue field. Ours would look the same.
So the document, Mr. Chair, that we throw at the select board in the select board's direction would then remove the numbers as well, correct?
Up to them.
Because, no, what I'm saying is that if we are going to present information to them, which will make it to their meeting packet, for accessibility purposes, we've talked about the accessibility guidelines, that this, I think, Christy, you may be more versed on this about the screen readers, look upon the number 3 as III or whatever. And so that even if we remove it eventually, that if we are going to have any numbering that is the backup documentation to our letter to the select board to say, please put this on the agenda, and that it made it to their meeting packet, I think that we would want to either remove the numbering, or if the numbering were in the document that we sent to them that made it to their meeting packet, that we would actually number them, remove Roman numerals in place of regular numbers. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Alexis, please.
So based on what we just discussed as sort of the order of things, are we thinking that our working document is what would go to the select board, or they would almost, like, I'm just asking, like, would we show them the mock-up layout of what the landing page and the subsequent pages would look like? The Word doc is just, that's our working document.
Right.
That will never be posted as is. So I guess it's just, when in that process, it's a summary. It's like, if you print an outline of a web page, might look like more like our Word doc, but what I guess my question is, what would we be presenting to the select board when we get on their agenda?
Yeah,
Well-
and I, oh, sorry, please, Paul.
A work in process. Because it's not complete, we haven't finished it.
Right, but it sounded like we would be further along in this process before,
Right.
based on the
Right.
earlier conversation, that we would have at least a mock-up of our landing page and the
Yes.
pages that would come behind. So I'm just, if that's the order, then I'm just wondering what goes to the select board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, no, and I do think it at the point at which we're actually presenting to the select board, well, it can always be changed. I mean, it will actually be done already, for what it's worth. It won't be, we won't be existing off of the working document anymore. That's the tool that's going to help it get all posted to the webpage. Alexis, to answer your question, I think more specifically, we could do it one of two ways. One, we could take our working document and it'd be a little more labor intensive, I guess, to do it this way, but back out of the outline a little bit, top heading, indent the next line, right? For each link, it's another one, and have the links underlined so that it's clear that they're the links. We have to take out all the verbiage though for all the links that we left in for the programmers, right? And just make it again, I guess it is still an outline, but not as formalized, sort of just more line by line. But I think the other option, like you were just describing, we could have it up on the webpage at that point. We can just screen grabs the webpage, right? For each link and just put them in sequence all together. It'll be a little bit longer, that way, but I think it really maps out exactly what it is for everybody that way without having to, personally go through and click on each link.
I don't think we should go before the select board until it's done.
Oh, no, amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is we're probably talking about December, guys.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're way too positive. That's way too Pollyanna. We're
Yeah.
talking
The
March.
spring.
We're talking March. This is not hard. This is not HTML. This is not hard. This is actually really quick and easy. But if we have to go through their vendor, I don't know. I don't know how quickly the town moves on things. So I would just set it farther out, and then if it's before that, will be.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're not setting it. I mean, it's really, the process will inform us
Yeah.
when things need to happen. Roger?
And I'm assuming it'll be sort of an iterative process between us, whether it's the full committee or a subcommittee, and whoever is actually doing the work on the website, that we'll be
Exactly.
doing a little back and forth, like, oh, that doesn't look right, or somehow our link isn't working, or, there's verbiage, we can, I mean, we cut and pasted stuff from the website, of all these links, but that might get shortened. How much of that do we provide on our page versus just I think we want to provide the link and a descriptor that says like why you want to go here, but we probably will be editing that down. It's probably too much
Maybe.
verbiage.
All I can say is this is great because every link is a dead end in one respect. We're not trying to create loops or continuous flows of information between and amongst these paragraphs, or all I can say is, having just done some of this for our area at work, it's 200 pages of editing, inserting code, checking code, testing, going back, and then possibly using ChatGPT to generate content too. I mean, it's a lot of work. So if they need some help
This
with
won't be
this,
that
I'm
fun.
happy to help. But I really don't want to. But I'm happy to help. But there should be a professional, really.
Yeah, no, this is, I don't think this is something that is far out of scope for what they've done already with other, other pages on our town's website. But
Yeah.
Roger, I know you've been waiting.
No, nothing earth shattering. number one, to underscore what Chrissy just said first, that, yeah, that they're the sort of the end links. I know that as a user, I've always been frustrated with how many layers deep I need, because every layer that you go deep can take you into a different decision tree, and then another decision tree, and in that respect, a lot of people are still doing their own homework. and I like how this gets you closest to the point of where you need to be, versus steering you in additional intersections or forks in the road. And the other thing is that since we are, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, since we have a meeting packet that's out there, like tonight's meeting packet, that includes our working document that the public has access to, including those maybe with screen readers. I think it's time for us to then change. If our working document is going to continue being in our meeting packets versus a Google Drive, I think it's time to change the numbering from Roman numerals to regular numbers. Because now this working document is a public document, as even if it's a draft, it's now potentially being read by someone with a screen reader who may run into the screen reader Roman numeral issue. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. But that being said, I don't know how much more we're going to need to keep it in the packet. I mean, if we're all comfortable with the content, I think it goes, the next move is really get it into the TA's office. So that is a very good point. And I know we've already posted this packet. Is that something I can amend retroactively? Like, now that we've had the meeting already? Could I update the meeting packet for tonight's meeting and send it back through?
No, because it's,
Okay,
it would, what would happen, I mean, I don't think it's, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
knows
think it's
enough.
necessary. In other words, I think that, yeah, in other words, the meeting packet, you can't like retroactively post something that's already like happened. But we could always, I don't know, I don't know how much we have added. I mean, we technically don't have to post minutes with everything attached, as long as we've had some reference to the meeting materials, and those are contained in the
Yep.
initial meeting packet. I will recognize that although I bring it to light, I don't think it's fatal. Do you know what I mean? In other words,
sure.
there will be other chances for people to be reading this in future meetings, and for the purposes,
Oh.
I guess, of moving forward, I think it would benefit anytime in the future that we may show this working document, or it gets circulated online or whatever, that the Roman numerals be changed. That's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a very good point. Very, very good point. All right, gang. So, are there any other suggestions for changes? Oh,
Not-
yeah,
not-
Roger.
Not a
Yeah, yeah.
change, but how often, like, I didn't see any really issues with the links that I went through. But how frequently do we individually or collectively sort of keep kicking the tires to make sure that between now and the time that this eventually comes to fruition, that all those links have remained active? How do we audit that?
We test it before it goes live.
And we just wait
Is-
until that time?
Yeah.
Do we,
I
do
mean,
we even need?
Oh.
I was just gonna say, I don't even know if we'll need to, because they'll actually be testing the link, I'm sure, when they're putting it in. If it's a
Right.
dead end, they'll let us know, right?
Sure.
Mhm.
And we
It's the-
probably, maybe even annually, would just make sure our links are, those links are still active, or if something,
Right.
an organization. I mean, what's on there, they're fairly well established, like
Yep.
Social Security Administration, or, they're pretty well established. They're not, well, you never know, but they're not likely. Most of them aren't
Right.
likely to go away. They're major, state agencies, most of them are very well-established organizations, so, but we should, I think, at least on an annual basis, check the links ourselves, and I think we've always thought of it as kind of a working,
Right.
living document or living effort, so that if there's something that we want to update or add or take off, that we do that, right? Maybe do it like an
Absolutely.
annual review or something.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I thought Roger was going when he first when you started, Roger. That's what I thought you were suggesting as well,
Yeah,
because I do
no,
think that's
no.
really important.
Yeah, yeah, and I hadn't gotten there yet, but absolutely, and but also, now that I think about it, to the extent that we kind of searched to see what other towns were doing, it may not be a bad idea that once we've rolled this out, that we share this with the Mass Office on Disability, so they may be able to share it with other. I can only imagine that other towns would find this whole process and just, even if they copycatted it, that they may be going, we don't know, there may be a lot of towns going through the same process. I don't know. Or even if they're not, they'd be like, wow, this is real. Grafton has saved us a ton of time. So, and
As
that each,
Northampton did us.
yeah, they did. Absolutely. Yep. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would hate to, sort of keep this boxed up. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe the Mass Office on Disability would, like Jeffrey Dugan or someone,
Mhm.
would have some suggestions of how to disseminate that we've gone through this process, and hey, take a look at our website.
That's a nice idea. Cool. All right, gang. So I think we're at a decision point. So yes, so my thinking would be that I would be really happy to take a motion to progress or to advance our draft in its current updated as of tonight version to the TA's office to discuss what we would like to do and who else ought to be involved. And I think leave it at that for now. Does anyone think that ought to be there? Like, is it worth putting the whole process together into one big motion now? Do we need to discuss whether or not this needs, I mean, we can do all this certainly too after the motion, but whether that's done by the existing subcommittee, whether we want to disband that one and create a new one. If you guys just want to run it through me, whatever, I don't think I have a strong preference one way or the other. But should that be part of the motion, or just leave it up for discussion?
So are you asking that the draft should come with some type of email header, or like leave it up to you to just tee that up? Like,
Yeah, no, I would just, I'm going to request a meeting is my thinking.
oh, okay.
So we can literally physically go sit down with paper in hand,
Oh,
probably a computer,
okay.
and actually, like, asking for like a half hour. I mean, we're not going to need even probably a half hour, because we're not going to go line by line through this whole thing. But just sort of, here's the work we've done. Here's where it's at. Here's the working document we have. Who else needs to be involved? Do we need to change our document to make it more usable for whoever is going to make these updates? And I think it's sort of that sort of agenda.
Who would we bring it to?
The TA's office.
But here's my question,
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
You may recall that prior to our July 12th, 2022 joint meeting with the select board, where they approved the change in our charge, one of the nuances of that change was that originally the language of our charge said that all right, so we know that the select board appoints us, and that we were at that time, prior to 7/12 of 22, we reported to the select board through the town administrator. That language was deleted. All right, it didn't get much attention. So the question here is that if we are going to be going in front of the select board to launch it to the town,
Three steps ahead there, Roger.
What's that?
That's 3 steps ahead of us.
No. What I'm saying is that shouldn't the meeting include the select board chair? Why would it, if it's going to go, or is that, in other words, who would be present? Would it be I mean, I'm willing to make a motion for you to move forward, or for you or the subcommittee to move forward with a meeting with the TA and or the ATA. But the question is, would you just leave it at those people being the audience? Or would you want to include the select board chair? That's all.
Sure. Oh, Alexis, please.
Well, are you saying that you think we would be required to include the select board? I mean, don't you think if we bring it to the TA's office and they say, oh, wait, you can't move forward with this without looping in the select board? It seemed like our prior conversation was, no, we have I'll use the word authority, that might not be a demand, whatever, to just go forward with this next step, because I think this is still like it's just a next step in this working effort. It seems to me, and wouldn't the TA's office, someone in the TA's office say, whoa, stop, you can't take this step without informing, looping in some way, someone from.
So more of as a professional courtesy, Alexis, that, yeah, in other words, I'm not suggesting that we not include the TA, but I would want to at least include or offer as a professional courtesy an invitation to the select board chair. That's all.
I
Or is that
agree.
too many, or is that too many people in the room? I don't know.
Too many. I don't know that it's at a level that the select board would be like, don't they pay the TA's office to take care of these things? And I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying, and
Yeah,
happy to invite whoever.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
This is day-to-day stuff.
I mean, because it's not right. And again, I'll CC. Happy to CC the chair on the the request for the meeting and to extend the invitation. My 2 cents would be, I think he passes on it, but
Right.
but it is. I mean, from my side, it doesn't hurt anything to throw it up there.
All right. Then I will make a motion that the chair advance our draft to the town administrator's office to present our draft document personally to the town administrator and or the assistant town administrator. Either or both, something like
I
that.
put the town administrator's office already.
Okay. All right, and then they can iron out who would be present, I guess. Okay. Then I'm okay with that wording as the motion. And
Yeah, to plan next steps with them.
Yeah, aren't we requesting their assistance in getting this
Right.
onto our web page?
Right.
Because they're probably
Does-
it's not the town administrator or the assistant town administrator who's actually going to do the work, right? Somebody in there, who does that? Who does this
So
work?
that's just it, is we don't know.
It's a second, I believe it's a third party.
Yeah, or they, they'll source it out. Yeah, however they'll get it done. They're our next step to whoever is the actual,
Right.
person, at the
And
computer
entity.
putting our stuff up.
Does that sound right, Roger, to you, in terms of
no,
finishing that motion then?
yeah, that's fine. However it gets done, I just figured I'd get the ball rolling instead of talking about it. Yeah, we come up with some motion and vote on it and get it in the hands of who we want to be reviewing and assisting us.
Okay, so
Right.
here it is.
All right.
Thank you,
Roger
Christie. I was
Tr-
just gonna ask.
Roger Trahan made a motion for the chair to request a meeting with the town administrator's office to present the draft document for next steps to get this content onto the webpage. I'm gonna put town webpage.
Or our committee's webpage, AAC's
Yeah.
webpage. So the question
Wait.
is that about the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you okay with that motion, Roger?
Well,
does that-
is it the chair or is it for you to, yeah, for you to contact them, but in the end, is it going to be the subcommittee that meets with them or just you?
I do not care.
I don't either. I
Happy
just
to
didn't
meet
know
with
what.
them. I'm happy to be part of that meeting, unless it's when
Is-
I'm on vacation.
That's very fair, Alexis. Alexis, it just I guess going back to that thought though. I guess Tuesday night would be the night. Are there times where you could theoretically meet with the TA's office?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
October 4th to the 21st? No.
Nope. Perfect.
After that, probably.
And I'll certainly extend the invitation to Bob as well. I know he's not here tonight, but he'll probably have an easier time getting there than either of us. Excuse me. All right, Christy, do you have it? Do you have the motion?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second. Okay,
Catherine won that one.
like
Yeah.
a contest.
Wait a minute.
I actually, I
Catherine?
have to go after this
Yeah.
vote, so,
Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks for letting us know,
Okay.
Catherine. Sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just waiting
Should
for the
be
vote.
should be really quick downhill after this.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on this topic at the moment? All right, hearing no further discussion. So I turned my page and I lost my phrase.
Hearing all those in
Hearing-
favor by
All
roll
those in
call.
favor by roll call. Thank you, Roger. Good Lord. Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Roger,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Alexis,
Aye.
Christy,
Aye.
and Rob, I. With that, I declare the motion passed 6-0. Woohoo.
Okay, and I am going to have to duck out, so,
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Catherine.
Appreciate it,
8:06.
Catherine. Have a good
I was
good
gonna
rest of
say
the week.
8:06. Okay.
okay.
Thank you,
everybody.
Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine. Have a great evening.
All right, so that's Catherine out at 8:06.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. Cool. All right, old business. I don't think there's a whole lot here, but bylaw study committee, I think you guys saw the correspondence. I sent the email back over. We got a nice thank you back. And I think that is basically it for the time being. As Roger has pointed out in our meetings, and certainly David pointed out as well, if there's ever any need to revisit, whether it's that specific bylaw or others, that's something that always can be done. It's a slightly different process outside of this, the bylaw study committee's purview there. But I think that all being said, it's probably all set to go on, because we got it in under the timeline for the warrant submission. So I think that is basically wrapped, minus the actual meeting itself. But Roger, am I missing anything?
No. It's, you said you will be there, and I think
Correct.
that it will probably be one motion to accept all of the changes. I can't imagine, I mean, that people are going to, you never know what happens at town meeting, right? Semi-annual
Absolutely.
soapbox. But sometimes people will want to sort of vote on a section separately. I think this is so non-controversial that I don't think it will, any specific discussion on this item will surface at all.
Right.
Or if it does, I don't think it'll take any
Mhm.
traction. But if it does, you mentioned you'll be there.
Correct. Yep.
But I just want to thank you, Rob, that you've had an extremely busy week with back-to-back meetings and putting meeting packets together, and then writing these letters to the bylaw study committee and to the town administrator's office regarding the Mass Office on Disability grants. So as we're on these old business items, kudos to you for a very, just putting it all together on such tight timeline. Just you did it.
Oh.
It was awesome. And so
No, thank you. Much appreciated. Learned well from my predecessor.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so that's that, and like Roger said, I definitely plan to be there. If anything does come up, I'll happily speak to, where our recommendation came from and all that, but yeah, like you said, I'm sure that's going to be part of the big package. And I don't think folks will be too fussed about this one. You never know. And as Roger just mentioned, the municipal ADA improvement grant, God bless William, he got that thing together, and it, I don't know, it read well. We did, I know we discussed it last week. We got the recommendation letter out. We got both Bob and myself pulled off of the list of requesters before it went in. And just subsequently, and I did not look closely, but both Evan, the town administrator, as well as Matt, the chair for the select board, sent very nice thank yous and appreciation to the entire commission for the work and effort and supporting this, and just sort of continuing the efforts and trying to make our town more accessible. So I think it's great to see their interest in the topic even alone is I think huge, and yeah, I think they'll be happy with other work that we're doing now too. But I want to make sure we pass that along. But the submission was made, and then tangentially connected to that, because I don't think I said this last week. I did reach out also to the school committee chair, who did respond that they superintendent is typically or historically the person who did submit those grant requests in the past, specifically for this grant. I did follow up by reaching out to Mr. Cummings, and basically he responded that it hadn't worked out to date. He'd look at it and let me know if there was if they decided to take, or if he decided to take any action, and he never reached back out. So just sort of to close the loop here officially for our group, I'm fairly certain the school department at large did not submit anything for the grant this year. So, but we did do the follow-up. So yeah, so good work, everyone. Yay. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we actually get the cash for this one and can check another item off the list. And then we're pretty close. And I totally different topic for another time, when, especially when Bob is here. I did notice our self-eval is dated from 2019, which I assume is a 5-year evaluation, but do you know that, or does anyone know for sure what the timeline typically is on that? Okay. I mean, I feel like 5 is a pretty common timeline for most of those types of assessments reports, but I did wonder if there's a need to ask anyone or inquire about, hey, we're coming up on year 5 next year. Do we need to get the ball rolling? Not a today problem, but oh yeah, go ahead, Roger.
There are 2 quick items I think that we need to double back on. I think that
Sure.
Mr. Berger had been maintaining, I don't know, internally or whether it's a shared drive or whatever, the sort of checklist.
I have a copy.
All right, so the Excel checklist and where that stands. And the other thing is that if we don't get this grant, I think these larger items, and I think we've historically agreed that the municipal center is such a well-used building, and it serves so many functions, that it's such a prominent building of use, that if we don't get this grant, that we really need to, as a commission, draw the line in the sand to stop relying on soft money sources for this. I think we would push the envelope, or should push the envelope, if we don't get the grant, to go in front of Capital Improvement Planning Committee for Springtown meeting. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars in other capital items, trucks and this and equipment, that always get funded. Okay. And if that's good enough for the capital items that typically are about $500,000 a year, we use free cash to put into stabilization, and we have this capital budget. And if you look at all the historic town meeting warrants, capital items every year are funded to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. $60,000, I think, in the grand scheme of our town meeting vote history on capital items, is chump change. And I think we need to push the envelope in that direction if we don't get this grant.
I like it.
Yeah.
Why not?
so,
And certainly keep our eyes open and not to at all suggest that we shouldn't do that, but
No.
also keeping eyes out for other soft money options that might be available as they do pop up.
Oh, absolutely, Mr. Chair. One of the things recently that was to our surprise is that Mr. Berger had announced in the past, was maybe in the last year, I forget what part of the building was, there was a state appropriation. It's like a supplemental budget. And I don't know if it came through Dave Moradian or Mike Moore's office.
Right.
You may recall, and that was a surprise. I don't think we had applied for it. It was under our commission's, it was not on our commission's radar.
Right.
And it was presented by Mr. Berger as, oh, there's a supplemental state appropriation for, and it was it 25 or 30,000? It wasn't a small amount. It was a decent amount to do some fix. I think it was on the some of the doors or ramps to finish up that exterior work. So you're right, Mr. Chair, as far as the soft money still does exist in some of those surprise supplemental budgets at the state level. And I guess we could keep our eyes open for other grant opportunities.
Yeah, right. I'm never going to be sad about finding money somewhere.
Right. And I just don't want to rely on soft money sources year after
Exactly.
year and get
Oh.
shot down. And then 3 years later, we're still asking for the money for the same item.
Exactly. No, and I think that's a really good point, right? There's no reason to say that that's the only way this sort of work for our town can get done. There are definitely other options available, so through the town specifically. So I like it.
Cool.
I do. Cool. Any other comments, thoughts on that part, folks? Oh, no. The Grafton Common, including the exterior parking lot pavement, just since we've had that under discussion, I just have left it on as a place marker. Quite frankly, I don't have any updates, but I'm hopeful that maybe Bob, assuming he's at the, able to attend that next meeting, might have a little inside baseball, if there's any motion. So we shall see. But like I said, yeah, that was more a place marker. Are there any other old business items that I am not remembering? Feel like I've been like hyper focused on a couple of things, so hoping nothing fell through the cracks on old business, but wanted to make sure.
No, I don't think so. Are there
Perfect.
any other, is everything with the common though? Wasn't there an issue with 1/8 of an inch? There was that lip that went from it was something minor, but still.
On the
there was a
gazebo, on the bandstand?
Bandstand gazebo, yeah, in other words, with the slope sidewalk, it's not a ramp. The slope sidewalk comes up and then meets the threshold of the flooring of the bandstand.
That was
Yeah.
fixed.
Oh, that was? Okay, I haven't been up there since that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, then, I guess that's all set then. And, so.
It seemingly, and yeah, and for what it's worth, like I said, my thinking was I'll leave this on the agenda for next time and let Bob
All right,
update us with any, like I said, he's obviously involved in, a lot of the work that gets done and, through the permit process. So, yeah, we'll see if he has any additions, but that's awesome to hear, Alexis. Thank you for the update. All right, my friends, new business. Mr. Letourneau.
On the 27th of August, I sent a letter to the Housing Authority along with my rent check, so I know they got the letter, concerning an erosion problem we have here in our building. It's eroded so much that there are root materials sticking out of the ground, and it poses a danger to anyone walking there. Now, the woman who occupies the apartment at that level is disabled. She uses a walker. And I'm afraid that at some point someone could trip and fall. I sent photos of the erosion to the Housing Authority and a letter requesting that it be repaired on a permanent basis so that it doesn't keep happening. And I have not received a letter in return. There has been no response. However, they did cash my check.
of course they did, Paul.
Of course. And I tried to be very specific about the problem and how dangerous it is. Rob has seen the erosion
Yeah.
firsthand, and he's aware of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Most definitely.
I would like us to, uh, as a committee, as an advisory committee, to get in touch with the Housing Authority director and see if they have any plan to repair it. Hmm.
So I'm looking on, through you, Mr. Chair, I'm looking
Oh,
on
yeah.
the town website. I was looking down on my phone, Mr. Chair, am I recognized?
That's good. Yeah, no,
All right.
please. Yes, go ahead,
All
Roger.
right, thank you. I see that the executive director is Amanda Brady.
Yes.
And that the 839-6089 with the address of 10 Maxwell. Now, I think, and I don't know if this is accurate. Well, it says John Kelly. Jack Kelly is listed as chair, but I know that he stepped down from another committee. I think it was committee preservation due to other commitments. So I don't know if he's still chair. I know Sean McAbee, Dave Robbins, and Lisa Kelly are listed as other members of the Housing Authority.
They just
So,
appointed someone recently who is a resident of Maxwell Drive. I
right.
did have his name, but I don't recall what it is at the moment.
Yeah, and I think there was a statutory requirement that someone in the public housing, in public housing, didn't have to be that location, was a representative.
Right.
So I don't know.
Paul, this is at Maxwell Drive, just for the
No,
note.
this is at Forest Lane.
Thank you.
The building is number 13, and the
Okay.
apartment that's affected by it is 13A.
Okay, so I don't know, Mr. Chair, do you want, I mean, you didn't copy, maybe it's worth following up and then CCing the commission, even though you're a member of the commission, you're kind of CCing
Yeah.
yourself, but bring it to the attention so that now it actually, as external correspondence, could make it to our meeting packet. Now it's on record.
Right.
Now it's big time. And now it's, prime time, right?
I can read you the letter that I sent if you'd like. I mean, it's pretty
That's
much
up to you. That's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Whether you,
it's
So, well, can we go back for a sec, Roger? I mean, were you just
Yeah.
suggesting?
I mean, how long ago was this, Paul?
I sent the letter on the 27th of last month, along with my rent check for September.
Okay.
So it was
So-
August 27th.
So I'm wondering, all right, so I don't know if it's usual and customary. I mean, if I were on the receiving end of that letter as a professional courtesy, if I were to be that person to set something in motion, I would want to keep you, Paul, as a complainant in the loop, whether something's in process.
Nothing has come back to me.
Right,
Not a
but
thing.
and so question is there something in process that may not have been communicated to you? Don't know.
I have no idea.
So, had you called out? So, I mean, I know you're an immediate neighbor, so do you feel comfortable calling the executive director and inquiring?
I could call. I'm
Uh-huh.
not opposed to that.
Yeah,
But I
Mr.
just
Chair,
wanted to be on the record
all right,
that there is a problem.
right. Mr. Chair, because I don't know what the extent to which, even though the Grafton Housing Authority oversees the properties, is this owned by the state?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
In other words, I don't know who has jurisdiction over the repairs.
Would it be considered a maintenance problem? Since the soil is eroding because of all the rain, it's not the building itself. It's the soil and the dirt and the,
Mhm.
they
But
do
it's grounds.
maintain the lawn. They maintain
Right.
they maintain the property.
All right. So do you have as a resident, do you have a list of go-to people went to report a concern?
No,
Uh-huh.
no. If there's a problem, we don't have an ombudsman who represents the residents here, except we do have a housing authority.
Well, I think the ombudsman now is the gentleman who has been appointed, the newly appointed gentleman to the Grafton Housing Authority. And I'm wondering if maybe you two could connect to discuss,
Yeah,
having someone in your corner. You as a complainant would now have someone in your corner who's actually part of the housing authority, who is a resident. Now, is he a resident of your community?
no, he's in Maxwell Drive.
Oh, he's in Maxwell Drive. But still, I mean, he may want to, it may be worth, I don't know what, maybe others can weigh in. That may be worth reaching out to that gentleman to have him meet you to look at this. And then now there's two people.
I would think that anyone from the housing authority should be willing to do so, including the director, Amanda Brady.
So maybe the ombudsman, as you refer to him as, that Grafton Housing Authority person who's at Maxwell, then either individually or you along with him reach out to Ms. Brady as a follow-up. You know what I mean? In other words,
Yeah.
there's strength in numbers.
There's strength in authority.
Okay.
Numbers in themselves have no strength when you're dealing with the bureaucracy of an organization such as the Housing Authority. I would think that if I call her tomorrow, and hopefully I'll get a response, I'd be happy to talk to her about it. But I didn't want to chew my food twice. I sent her the letter. I
Okay.
said all the things that needed to be said. And now, if I call her and point out the letter that I sent, if she says, well, we never got the letter, I'll say, that's when I laugh, of course.
Right.
Anyway, so that's the position I'm in.
So you have her number, 839-6089.
Yep.
Do you want to reach out to her tomorrow?
I'll do that.
I mean, I don't want to
But
step on any
I
toes
also-
here. I mean,
I
I'm just
will-
one person. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that
I will
recommendation?
also, well, since our director, Rob, has seen the problem, he's aware of it, but I will call her and say that I've filed a complaint verbally with the committee, and that it's just that's all, just like that.
Mhm.
So, and I guess Roger, that's sort of the question I have from my side, right? Is because it's a member making or filing a complaint or registering a complaint.
I have no vote on
Right.
whether it should be considered for an action or not.
Right, and I guess, Mr. Chair, it's an interesting situation that Paul and the commission finds itself in, that maybe if we were as a commission to get infused in this, maybe Paul would need to actually recuse
Right.
himself from the discussion altogether in the
Yes.
future.
Right. Yeah, and that's sort of, I guess, what I was thinking, right? Because if this were a non-member resident telling us the
Right.
same story,
Right.
right? I think my inclination would be that I'd be more than happy to follow up, right, on sort of behalf of the commission to see if there's been any action taken and maybe a subtle request that they follow up with the complainant. Right, if it were someone else, like we had done about the parking space on Grafton Common. Right, I followed up with the TA's office as a response to the complainant coming to the meeting and sharing that with us.
Just
Alexis?
a question, is the director of the housing authority a town employee? Is there someone that she reports to?
I don't know.
Especially, yeah, I don't know either.
I think they work directly for Boston, I think. And
They're not a town.
No, the housing authority is appointed by the town, I think.
Yes.
Right.
No, it's an elected position, but
Okay,
there's one appointed position that's mandated by the state.
so if they're elected by the town people, then they must work for the town.
But they're not I'm just, wondering who
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think bringing it to us, but I guess my question is, who's our
Well,
boss?
because the only reason
Who's
I
our
bring it to,
boss?
the only reason I bring it forward, because it does represent a hazard for a
Yeah,
handicapped
yeah, no,
person.
it's an I mean, it's a safety and accessibility issue for sure, and I think, you contacting her again, sending her the letter again, mentioning that, you've raised it, but I'm just wondering, who's the authority above her?
I have no
I don't know
idea.
the answer to that question, but that may be another avenue, in terms of who has actual authority to
True.
Right.
make her,
Yeah.
undertake an effort to address the issue. That's what I'm asking, because I don't know that we have authority.
Right.
Who's our
Well, we
boss?
have we can point out a problem because that's what we do.
Right. Yes, but I was just, literally, I don't know the answer to this question. I was just wondering, like,
Yeah,
who's
and
the report to?
so, and this actually does not answer your question, Alexis, but does answer one from Roger earlier. The authority actually owns 20 units of housing, it says, on Forest Lane and Providence Road. So it sounds like the housing authority actually does own those units. They also indicate this is on just the town website, the housing is managed by Alternatives Unlimited. So it sounds
but
like they
that's one of-
contract out.
That's one
Well,
of the
that's
group
one,
homes.
that's one
the
of the,
group homes.
yeah, that's a group
Yeah.
home. Well, it's, yeah.
So those all 20 units are just group homes? Is that what you're
No.
saying?
No. The Alternatives manages, I believe, see, I have to count them, eight apartments, plus they have an office in the building.
But it's not, they don't manage all
That's, no,
the
no.
whole complex. Okay.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the simplest thing, if people agree on this, is that Paul maybe make a couple of attempts on consecutive days to reach this person, this woman, and maybe ask for a verbal update, and if there's no response or he can't reach her, to then follow up in writing. It's
Wow.
possible that she may have an update for you, but may not have included you.
It would be very nice.
I know, no, but as a professional courtesy,
I understand.
there may be something in process that, no, in other words, I'm saying that her as a professional courtesy to you, to have kept you in the loop, but maybe there is something going on and there is a time frame to address this, but
Yeah, I realize that if this is a repair job that has to be officially done, like with concrete or asphalt, they would have to get bids on the work and so on and so forth. But even if that's the case, as long as I can get a response that
Right.
moves in a positive direction,
I
that's
mean,
all I care about.
I agree with you. And if it were me, I think I would give it 2 business days. I would make 2 attempts tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah.
And then 2 attempts on Monday. And if you can't reach that person and get a response, then follow up in writing.
Yeah, if I do get a verbal response, I'll be happy with that. As long as it's moving in a positive direction,
Right, and
dealing with
then-
the problem.
Right, and then if you need to send a letter, I think it may be worth contacting that Maxwell Drive gentleman who's the appointed member of the Housing Authority, who could be referred to as an ombudsman.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone else agrees with that. That's just how I would proceed.
Yeah, I don't even know if
And-
he is really an ombudsman, but it would be nice if he were. And if that's the case, then he should come and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, but he would definitely help with the follow-up. Or Roger too. What about just ceasing our commission?
Sure, and see, yeah, and if you so chose, either sooner rather than later, or if not unable to reach her, yeah, any letter to CC our commission. But then moving forward, if we brought it up in a meeting, then I think that you would need to recuse yourself because it's an
Yes,
immediate,
exactly.
it's in a butter. It's in a butter.
Oh, yeah,
to
I'm
you.
not looking to vote on the problem. I'm just
Right.
stating it as it is. And
Right,
I know that I would not be even interested in voting on it because I'm obviously
right.
upset about it.
Right, so do you feel comfortable that, at the very most, that you would do is a couple of attempts tomorrow and a
Yes,
couple of attempts on Monday? And then if you get no response, then to draft a letter and loop in the other gentleman, on the housing authority that lives on Maxwell?
yeah. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible.
No, I
You
know, but I mean, just sometimes people are busy, maybe they're out of the office, who knows what their schedule is? But
Yeah, I
but
understand that.
giving it 2 attempts on each of successive business days,
Yeah,
um. And that's just, I'm only speaking for myself, that's how I would proceed. I know
yeah,
you're frustrated, Paul.
I am. Because it's been almost a month since I sent the letter. So,
Right.
but I will. I'll give her a call tomorrow, and hopefully she'll speak to me. Hopefully she'll know why I'm calling. If not,
Right.
I'll remind her.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. I don't know what everyone else thinks about that plan, but I agree with it.
It seems reasonable, but yeah, but please keep us in the loop because it would be awesome to hear that you get a response and that there's some plan.
Yeah.
Um, is there, and not for whatever, but I think Roger, you had made the comment about strength in numbers earlier too. Is it possible that your neighbor could also or would also submit a complaint
Oh,
or
they'd be
a
happy. Oh,
request?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
do
too that
so. Yeah, I'll
yeah, I
recommend to
just
them that they get in touch. Two neighbors, one across the hall from me and one directly below. Yeah,
right
we'll
because
do that.
it's shared public space. I mean, for folks
Yeah,
who may not know, so this is sort of the I would almost describe it as the yard behind the building. I mean, is that a
yeah,
fair description, Paul?
true.
And it's yeah, but it's just because of the erosion, the soil has gone down significantly. So
Yeah,
there are these spots where the tree
and
roots,
one of the
remained at
tree
the old
roots
ground level.
literally forms a loop. So if somebody walks in the wrong direction, they're going to get the foot right under there
Yeah,
and fall on their keister. So, all right,
yeah,
I'll do that.
very
Thank you,
good.
Paul. Yeah. Um, yeah, all right.
All right, gang. So we did have next meeting listed as October 21st on our old agenda. Before discussion, I actually meant to take that off and I forgot to.
It's
But
already
um,
updated. Yeah.
thank you on the minutes. But yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, as a reminder, and I'm double checking to make sure I don't say the wrong date out loud, October 10th. So that's only a couple weeks away, 2.5 weeks. Yeah, about 2.5 weeks away. Will be our next meeting at 6:30. Unless there's any other business.
I move to adjourn.
Perfecto. We have a motion. Anybody second?
I will second.
Excellent. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. By roll call, Mr. Trahan,
Aye.
Mr. Letourneau,
Hi.
Miss Henry,
Aye.
and Miss Proctor.
Aye.
Mr. Pulsinelli, aye. With that, I declare the meeting adjourned.